She's a conservative and I'm liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't discuss politics, religion, or money. And we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Join us as we tackle the conversations you're having in your head, but are too scared to say out loud. Welcome to We've Got to Talk. Welcome, Jolene.
Thank you, Nicole. Welcome, viewer and listener, to We've Got to Talk, where we've got two different views and yet we have respectful conversation with each other. But today is kind of a non-political topic. Nicole, tell us what it's about.
We are talking about Gen X and being a Gen Xer and what that means to us and how it informs possibly how we think and how we live. I happened to find, it was in my YouTube algorithm, one of these little films was sent about what it's like to be a Gen Xer, and I just very innocently sent it to my friend Jolene. You were like, let's talk about this. And we'll put all of the links in the show notes. And honestly, they're variations on a theme. And the thing that's funny is one of the traits about Gen Xers is that we don't trust. We believe in authenticity and we don't really trust. So I thought it was funny because I was like, wait, some of the voiceover is sort of similar. Some of the songs are sort of similar. Some of the animation is sort of similar. And they're all seemingly AI generated. That said, there were some really good takeaways that I thought we should talk about. And so, Jolene, why don't you start with your 3 hot takes, and then I will give mine, and then we can talk about being in this generation.
You're right. I feel like they all kind of had the same theme. I think there was a lot of similarities. One of the things that was really apparent to me, and we, of course, are the greatest generation, because Gen Xers are from 1965 to 1980. So really only a 15, like we're the smallest age gap or age years. What's the word I'm looking for?
Grouping.
We are so we're the smallest grouping of all the named generations now. So the greatest take is that we are the greatest generation because we really have bridged that gap between, we've lived in the analog and the digital. We've had to grow in such a time where there's been such a huge difference in technology and working patterns. We've kind of had an experience in all of it. And we've had to adapt, and we're really good at that. Like we went from not having video, or we had Atari, that was the extent of our video games, to now, they're so realistic. We've had, phones that hook on the wall, to now we have smartphones, computers that were big and clunky and were IBM computers in an office, but now we have them sitting in our hands. So I feel like we've done a really good job of adapting. But one of the things that my second hot take is that I hate to generalize because everybody's experience is so different. And, did you have a stay-at-home mom or did you have a working mom? Were your parents married or were they divorced? Or did you have siblings or not have siblings? And so all of those things, I think, really are the things that shaped us, is not so much when we were born and when we were raised, but how. The third thing, though, is just, again, to make a generalization that Gen Xers, we are independent, we are resourceful, we are reliable, and we're private.
All right. I like it. I like it. My first one. After watching these episodes about our Gen X generation, I felt a deep compassion and pride on how our generation navigates through the world. There was a quote, "We are the bridge between the suck it up generation and the it's not fair generation." Number 2, they would call us the Latchkey kids because a lot of us, and this is generalization, just like you said, a lot of us were unsupervised after school. There was a higher divorce rate. No childcare, not because they didn't want it, but because it was all brand new. Everything was shifting so much. Something we learned early was no one was coming to save us. We were the kids who didn't stop needing love. We just stopped expecting it.
Oh, ouch.
I know. That one kind of gutted me.
Oh,
okay.
God.
Number 3, we learned how to sit with our thoughts without panicking. We experienced constructive boredom, which is the incubator to creativity and problem solving.
Amen.
And so when I would watch these films, and there was one film that, again, we'll put in the show notes, and I don't know if you had a chance. I know I sent you a bunch, but this one really tickled me. It was about being feral children. And it was showing
heathens.
It was such heathens that we would there were no bike helmets. You'd create jumps. And if you fell and you scraped your knee, you'd get up and you'd shake it off and go on. Casts were really cool. If a kid broke their... I never did.
My arm so bad.
I did too. And they would everybody would sign your cast and
yes.
And how they talked about how when a kid would get hurt at school, for instance, the principal would come and say, "Get up." Versus call an ambulance, sue the school, parents go bananas. I'm also not saying that it was so amazing. I found it, I was very tickled a lot of the time especially with the feral one, because our games were so cutthroat. Throwing dodgeballs at each other and Red Rover, where you'd run as fast as you can to break through people's arms. But there was this sort of not innocence, but your parents didn't, it's not that they didn't care. They just were go figure it out. Go play.
Yeah.
Go. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you till the sun goes down. And I feel our generation as parents have unfortunately overcorrected. And I think it's really a detriment to our children now who don't know how to... I'm reading this book called, and this is a shout out to Mark Foster. He wanted me to read this book called The Coddling of American Mind. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. It's really well written. It's also incredibly disturbing. It talks about this generation of kids coming up who, there's some positive things, they are not drinking and doing drugs as much. They're not having sex as much at an early age. But on the other hand, because they didn't have that experience of... There were no cell phones when we were kids. Our parents didn't know where we were, and they didn't really worry about it until it got dark. And now parents are watching where their kids are on the Find My iPhone. There's no privacy, and kids are saying that words are violent and they feel unsafe, that they're going into college campuses, and if they feel any sort of sense of discomfort, they feel justified. We talked about this, Jolene. There are some examples in the book of these protests by kids that didn't like a conservative person coming to their campus. They felt justified in not only protesting that their existence was there, they wanted them off the campus, and they would hurt people, violently hurt people that didn't agree with them and felt justified in that violence. And I thought, whoa, hold on a second.
Well, so to your point that we've gone so far that that we're trying to reel things back in. I do see, like you said, there's this push for people playing board games again, and going back. I think this generation, and I say from 16 to 30 years old, are seeing how cool it was for our generation. I mean, to what we were growing up in the 90s and the 80s and 90s, that they're reverting back. They're going to church. They're playing outside games. They're doing things that we did as kids because they're trying to get back to that sense of reality, I guess, because it's gone so far.
I think part of it's community, and part of it, these things, these cell phone things, they jack up our nervous system. I had such a fondness. I mean, I just was so tickled by some of these films about just reminding me of our sense of play and creativity and being able to just like lay in the grass and look at the sky. And that is something that I hope I have to remind myself to do. Like, I knew that feeling and I want to know that feeling again. And that sort of feeling for every age is crucial to our well-being.
We were just talking about this last night with a group of friends that we had dinner with. And we said, we were talking about, what do you listen to when you're in the car, when you're traveling? And everybody was going, either music or podcast or da-da-da. And our friend Ed said, he goes, nothing. I love getting in the car and not having anything on, like just listening. I go, okay, are you a spiritual person? Like, are you talking to God? Are you listening to God? And he was like, maybe. Sometimes. I mean, just the fact that you're allowing yourself, because we're just so inundated with so many things and so many choices, that's something else we saw in these reels as well was, we had 3 channels. And so you didn't get to say, oh, I'm going to stream this show now because this is what fits into my schedule right now. No, if you wanted to watch Charlie's Angels, it was Wednesday night at 8:00 and that was your only option to watch it.
That's right.
And so,
that's right.
Unless you saw the reruns in the summer. Did you see that one clip that said that? And it was like, I missed that episode. I'm going to have to wait until the summer now to watch the rerun to actually see that. I mean, and that whole concept.
And our generation is really good at waiting.
Right.
And it's not about waiting like we don't care or we are not motivated. It's just like we know that sometimes you have to wait. It just is how it is.
The example was like you would take a picture and then you'd have to wait
until I loved that.
Till all of the film was used in your camera to go take the film into Walgreens to have it developed. And then, and it would be 2 weeks later. And if if it was blurry, too bad. I mean, that moment is gone.
That was what it
forever.
is. Forever. That's right. And I also remember
for mail.
Yeah, you waited for mail and it was so exciting to go to the mailbox.
Right. Or you waited. The other one that I love too was you waited for your favorite song to come on the radio.
That's what I was going to say. I love
it. Yeah.
Or you put with the radio and then you'd put with the tape deck to make sure that you could record that song on the radio, and then you'd make mixtapes. And I just was flashback to, music was everything to me when I was a kid. I loved to sing, and I had my own little record player and tape deck, and I would just spend hours listening to music and looking at the lyrics on the whether it was the album cover or in the tape cassette, and dream. And you'd share music with friends, and sometimes I have such a memory of Whitney spending the night and. And she's saying, like, we're in my bedroom, and she's like, what kind of music do you like? And I was like, it was, on the radio, Donna Summer. And I put Donna Summer on, and we're like dancing around the room. And that was your dream time.
Creative outlet.
Right. We do, my poor brother, when I'd have slumber parties with multiple friends, we would do, disco dance competition, and my brother had to be the judge.
I'm sure little Tyler loved that.
Little Tyler, he loved that. He loved it. He really didn't, but he would do it because he was my little brother, and that's what you do. And I was also struck, like I said at the beginning of this episode, about how Gen X is, and again, this is a generalization. But we have an incredibly strong bullshit monitor. We were the first generation that was like a target of advertising. We were sold advertising from basically the moment we were born. We were inundated with it. And so we knew what was real and what wasn't real. And I think that that has served our generation. And so that also I thought was very funny as I'm trying to delve in who's making these videos, that I'm like, okay, could one of it be human? Just like really,
Right,
like
right.
I'm really liking what you're serving here, but I want more authenticity because
Well, and have they done it for each generation? Do they have one then for Generation Z? Why, you guys are the greatest generation,
well,
and and done
there's
this whole thing.
that, and
Yeah, I
and
mean,
every generation thinks that they've been slighted, and every generation, but they do call us like the forgotten middle child because the boomers, as we've talked
yeah,
about within politics, they will
yeah,
not retire.
yep, yeah,
And then you've got the millennials coming up and saying, it's our turn and
mm-hmm,
where are we? But we have, one thing I felt encouraged by was that we are a generation that not only are the founders, the VPs, we run shit. We're also the fixers. We're the plumbers.
mm-hmm.
We're the electricians. We are the people that quietly get shit done.
We weren't afraid to make mistakes because they weren't recorded. You
Right.
made a mistake, then no one, I mean, just the people in that little circle knew about it. Unless you wrote, I mean, our biggest thing, and I know we've talked about this before, is writing notes. And so if you had it in writing that you said, I'm mad at Jill right now, then Shannon could go show that to Jill. And then you're like, now I'm in trouble. So, I mean, like unless you wrote it in a note and you could tear it up, then, I mean, there were no videotapes and all of that of mistakes, which right now, I mean, my gosh, we're all afraid to do anything because we have zero privacy.
Right. I mean, and even with that, Jolene, even with the passing a note and getting in trouble per se, there were in these films talked about that we are the generation that is not afraid of face-to-face, uncomfortable conversations. We had to figure out how to communicate with each other when things didn't go well. And we were the high consequence generation. If we got in trouble as kids, you knew it. There was no negotiating.
And if you got in trouble at school, you were going to get in trouble at home.
That's right.
Yep.
It was how it was. It was just,
Yep.
And in some ways, I think we are really built for this world. Because I feel like as we move towards this deep need, I think, of wanting authenticity, because we're also, no matter what generation you are, we're really aware of how, I guess with AI and everything, we're all starting to wonder what's real and what isn't. And I think that we are craving, and maybe this is me, maybe I'm craving authenticity. But it seems like younger people are as well. Like you said, some are going back to faith in order to feel some connection. Some are, there's like vinyl bars are really big in the cities now, going to listen to records. There's like art cafes now where you can, and I see them with like kids in their 20s and they've put their phones away and they're making art in a space and drinking coffee and being together because it's just so foreign to them they know that putting your head in a screen isn't really the key to a full, happy life.
I also wonder how much, and this is just raising our three girls, I wonder how much of that need to be the very best at what you do. So, I mean, now you've got to choose, which sport is it that you're really good at? And now we're going to get you into private lessons and you're going to be on a club team and you're going to be on a travel team in the summer. And you're going to, like instead of just going out and playing and being a part of everything, like now you're being asked to hone in on what it is that you're really good at. Is it theater? Great. Let's get you into, all of the different things beyond, the school program that will make you really good at your craft or your art. Where we were going to work after school, right? I mean, for me, like I'd go to school, I'd go to practice, and then I'd go to work.
Yes.
And I don't know that, I mean, our kids didn't really have a job other than babysitting. I think Callie worked as a waitress in a Mexican restaurant her senior year, but I mean, I started mowing yards with my grandpa at 12,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like that
People had paper routes. Yeah,
but now
absolutely,
kids can't do that
Jolene.
because they are, they're going to volleyball camp and baseball camp and, doing all the, I think, are we
Yeah,
missing out on that?
I mean, I would say yes, or there could be a happy medium, right? And there's never
Yeah.
seems to be a happy medium. It's like, when we were coming up, you would play all the sports or you wouldn't play the sports, whatever you did, but you had different choices. And now I don't know if it's also a focus in getting into college. That college has become so competitive that people feel that they have to pick a sport and do it all year round, which they have studies. It's not healthy for young bodies to do the same movement all year. Like, it's just not healthy. And yet we're pushing our kids. And then, quite frankly, you're not even just like, what are you doing this summer? Nothing. That is not an option. Like, a kid is supposed to be scheduled from morning to night, and that doesn't also help that person.
Creativity.
Creativity. Absolutely.
But going back to the sports thing, I mean, then you just sent me the thing that that Nick Saban, when he went to the White House
yes,
for this
yes,
presidential
yes.
council on athletics. And the problem, and this is a whole nother topic, but with NIL deals and the transfer portal and all that, now that emphasis on sports, I mean, the parents are now going, holy cow, my kid can make millions as an 18-year-old now. I absolutely want to put him or her into specific things and make them the very best that they can be, because now they can be a millionaire by the time they're 20 and take care of us. So, I mean, we're incentivizing, and that was the whole thing that Nick Saban said, whatever happened to college athletics and the emphasis on getting a college degree?
Exactly.
Now we're just making professional athletes.
Yes. Yes.
So we're talking out of both sides of our mouth there, for sure.
I mean, I don't know. I would actually love to have to talk about that conversation, because I think it's a detriment to these kids. Because everything, it seems, again, it's a generalization, that we're so obsessed with money, and we're so obsessed with the look of it, and we're so obsessed with what everyone else thinks of us, and are we getting the likes, and are we getting the clicks, and
yeah, that is a whole thing that we could talk about. We should be good.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that I thought is interesting about Gen X is that we were really the first ones to be part of that talk radio generation and the cable news, the 24-hour news cycles. I mean, we went from growing up, we had Walter Cronkite. I mean, that was our source of news, was
And Dan
for 30
Rather.
minutes. And Dan Rather, right. I mean,
one more. Tom Brokaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Your news was, you got 30 minutes of news. And then, of course, you had newspapers and all that. But then, I mean, I was in high school, but I started listening to Rush Limbaugh, which I know won't surprise anybody. Yeah. No, that's not true. I was not in high school.
You must have been in college. You must have been in college.
I was in college. Yeah. It was college, because I remember finding him on the radio, again, trying to find something to listen to on my way back and forth from college to home. And my brother-in-law said, you should listen to Rush Limbaugh. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And started listening. And remember, then after graduating from college and driving around as a sales job, I had Iowa and Nebraska as a territory. That's a lot of windshield time to be listening to the radio. And so I got that 3 hours of the Rush Limbaugh show.
I mean, and that's a really interesting point, Jolene, because we've talked about this in other podcasts. There was a law that in network news, if each network would, if they were going to do a story on Rush Limbaugh, for example, they would do 3 minutes for Rush Limbaugh, and then you had to give 3 minutes to the opposing side. So you were always constantly getting a fairly balanced take on all three channels. And all of a sudden, when I guess we're getting into the 90s here, that there was cable news and these talk radio shows where it was one voice, not being fact checked, just talking. And there's something really why I love audio and love radio is a very intimate experience that you're in your car and this person's talking to you. Like the tone of their voice, how they make you feel, how safe you might feel talking to them, or how scared they might make you feel. Like it's a very intimate medium to, quite frankly, manipulate you. And I don't mean just Rush Limbaugh. You could do Rachel Maddow, like she's pretty left. Like those people become like part of your fabric, and then they mold how you think. And again, kind of why we're here, because of all of those sort of unchartered excess.
Let's go back to the thing that you said about what was your second, or one of your takes was about love.
I know.
We were searching.
That one was in terms of, they mentioned it about, and I'm guessing you might not have had this experience, Jolene, but the Latchkey kid.
No, I did. My mom, because my mom worked.
She did.
So, yeah. And then she went back to college. So there were times I'd come home and she wasn't home. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom and dad divorced when I was 10. My brother was 7.5. And it seems crazy now, but we'd ride our bicycles, I'm not kidding, miles to school and miles back. And then we just go into the house. Like it was just, the key, the house wasn't locked, and you'd make yourself a snack, and you maybe do your homework, watch TV, and wait for your parents to come home. Like that's how it was. And so what their point was, the idea that we could go into our home unsupervised. And number one, we learned how to believe that we didn't expect that people were going to save us. Like we were home and hopefully our parents would come home. You didn't really think about it. I mean, I'm sure there are kids that did, which is a whole other conversation. But we were like, yeah, mom or dad's going to come home, whatever. But they correlated it in one of the films, was that we weren't children who stopped needing love, but we stopped expecting it. I think that that's actually a problem with the parenting of the Gen X parenting with these kids, is that, and this is a huge generalization. I don't know if once we became parents, and of course I didn't have, this is a question for you, Jolene, because like I didn't have a baby to raise. I got Jax at 10 and he was already kind of formed. And so I could only do what I could do. Mm-hmm. But that said, did parents feel like, you know what? My mom and dad, they just left me after school. I'm going to be involved. And I'm not just going to be involved. I'm going to be the most involved and smother the shit out of my kid. I don't think they think that, but that we have a tendency as human beings to swing to the extreme. Yeah. And that's sort of, you had, I'm sure, a very different, tell me about your experience.
Well, okay, as a kid, I do remember like coming home and if my mom wasn't home, then I would be so disappointed. Like if I got home and there was a note on the kitchen counter, I'll be home by 5, I'm doing this, and here's your to-do list. I would be so mad because all I want to do is come home and talk to my mom and have her make me a snack and tell her about my day and blah, blah, blah. Whether I knew that or not, there was just a sense of disappointment when she wasn't home. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch my TV. I had all my TV shows that I wanted to watch. And then if I knew she was going to be home at 5 and I could look at that to-do list and go, okay, empty the waste baskets, empty the dishwasher, fold the clothes in the dryer. I mean, the 3 things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got 12 minutes to get all these things done. And then you would hurry and get them all done and be like, no, I did the to-do list first, Mom. And then I had all these things. So that was one thing. But so then as a mom, I remember my kids being the same way. If I was not home when they got home, they were so mad at me. And then they would call, so then we had a landline phone, but I had a cell phone and they could call me and be like, okay, where are you? Because my kids didn't have cell phones at that point. Sure. And so then they would call me and say, where are you? And I'm like, I got stuck in Kansas City. I'm on my way home and, blah, blah, blah. But make sure empty the wastebaskets, get the dishwasher emptied, and make sure you put your clothes away. So it's that disappointment. It's that love that you wanted from your mom when you got home, or your dad, that someone was home, and when they weren't home, you're like, ugh.
Well, it's interesting to me, Joe, because when you started talking about it, I was like, oh, Janice was out of the house. Like, you were by yourself. Like, me and my brother were together. I was the older sibling. So
right.
It's different. By the time I was gone, he was a teenager. So it's a little bit different. But as kids, like, I was home and he was home.
Well, I was just going to say, and I'm sure that changes the whole dynamic too. I think of Jeff as the oldest of 5, and they were all boom, 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 boom. That, like, okay, so then you had, the only people you could play with were your siblings. And so, but you probably all had to do, chores together. So there was this, it was an opportunity for people to learn how to work together and to work in a group that maybe nobody liked each other, but they had to work together. And there's just, again, there was so much to be learned from
that's it. I think about, like, my brother did love TV. Like, loved TV. And you could equate that to being on the computer or being on the phone. Like, it was like at the time, there was a point where my parents were like, I'm pretty sure, well, at one point we had an au pair come because my mom was going back to work to help. And of course, they didn't do it, but they're like, hey, Anne, get my kid to stop watching TV.
Oh, okay.
But it was like, it's not like we were so innocent. Like, we would try to get away with whatever we could get away
100%.
with, right? I just think there's I see it here in Utah with some of the kids where on our street, like, they're actually having a real childhood, and it's super sweet, where they don't have phones. And these are littler kids, but they're running around on the street and playing. And I think, God, we were so lucky. I mean, there's a lot of shit that we weren't lucky about.
Yeah.
But that part, I just feel so grateful that, and they talk about it in these films as well, like, if the electricity goes off, we don't go into panic mode. We're like, okay, how do we fix it? Like, it's how our brains were trained. And it's not like these kids are such idiots or something. They're just, their brains they've always had access to the answer versus like, I don't know,
having
let's
to
try
figure
it out. Let's take apart this transistor radio to see how it works. I mean, obviously there's people in the world that are fascinated by that and that are young and they do it, but not a lot. There's an impatience of, even when you're in conversation with your friends or something and you're like, what's that person's name? I really try sometimes to be like, do not look it up. Let your brain be and figure it out. Just take a walk and then it's like, boom, then like 10 minutes later, it's there. But it's this, I try sometimes to not be so impatient and not let the modernity of this world get me lazy. Do you ever worry about the girls with the technology, or do they have a handle on it, or are they aware when they're I
think they're learning that, but as 24, 26, and 29-year-olds, I mean, they are, I can see, anxiety in them that because of trying to be who, and especially when they were in high school, trying to be who society said they should be and doing the things and looking a certain way. And I mean, all of that. I think we all, but I mean, even as adults, I mean, I think that was all of us in this, living in this society. Yeah.
It's just even more pronounced, I think, with the phones, because it doesn't stop.
Right.
Like when we were kids, it was looking at magazines, which was incredibly pervasive. It's not like we didn't have our body issues from moment one. But we weren't carrying it around in our pocket. When we were bored, like that whole idea of being bored. Hey, mom, I'm bored. And then the fear of God that mom or dad would be like, you're bored? Here, do this list. That we would just like run out of the house and like figure out something different. But that now that you would then possibly scroll and see some other like really upsetting image about compare and despair or whatever it might be. And girls seem to be way more affected, it seems, from the research that you don't think so?
I feel like girls talk about it more.
Maybe that's it.
But I think that because I don't think that boys talk about it, but I think boys are sucked in just as much.
Yeah. I thought the sandwich generation really hit home for me. I don't know if it hit home for you. Having parents that are living longer than ever. And I mean, listen, there are a lot of kids that don't care about their parents, unfortunately. I mean, my dad tells me that a lot, where he lives in his senior living community, that he'll see that there are people there that are never visited and never cared for. And that, you know, whether it be there in that community or, you know, he was recently in the hospital and doctors will say, you know, you are so lucky, Bob, that your kids care. I love my dad, but it's incredibly stressful to try to manage. And I don't have a kid at home. Like, but, you know, there is that energy with Jax, but just to manage an aging parent and make sure, because there's only so much you can do. Like people have, right? And I think we are the generation that is in that middle, where if we have relationships with our parents, and a lot of parents, and because we had this with my mother as well, like they don't have a plan and then they fall apart and then it's on the Generation X to pick up the pieces, which is what happened with both of my parents and my stepmom for that matter. And that's, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think one thing that I appreciated was, as Generation X, because we are problem solvers, because we're creative, because we just put our heads down and do it, that we have the particular skills to be able to do it, where other generations might not. You obviously, I mean, your dad passed away and Sally's totally able. So thankfully you haven't been in that position, but it's just really, you know, with anyone, when anyone you love is struggling, it's hard. And it's,
absolutely.
And, you know, and I've had other friends and I don't know what it is about my parents' generation, that there is almost this innocence of like, I'm never going to die, or nothing's going to happen to me, and therefore we don't deal with anything.
Yeah.
Like it'll just work itself out. No, it won't work itself out. Your Generation X kids are going to figure it out. Like
we're going to have to figure it out,
Right? Even Josh's parents, who we thought had their stuff together, and I felt so relieved because I was overwhelmed by so much of the stuff with my family not having their stuff together. But then when stuff hit the fan, where Josh's mom got sick unexpectedly, and so all of a sudden Josh's dad's Alzheimer's, he couldn't be alone. So all of a sudden, you know, Josh and Claudia, very capable Gen Xers, had to jump in and figure it out. That's like, I am so grateful that we have those skills, but holy moly, is it stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts about being a Gen Xer? Oh, I want to say something.
Yes.
I'm going to shout out to our friend Brad.
Oh my gosh, every time.
Brad Porteous.
You got it.
I got the book. Brad, this is a memoir about his first real job in the early 90s as a Gen Xer, and he's a fantastic writer. I love the book, Brad.
Of course he is.
I love it. So I'm going to put it in the show notes so you all can read about it, whether you're a Gen Xer or not. He's a big sports person, so he's a beautiful writer. Read the book. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that I like it because he's our friend. And it would be bad if I didn't. But yeah, so Yeah, do you have any other thoughts about this generation or how we move forward or what do
Nope.
we do?
But I have a really good would you rather.
All right. Give it to me.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Nicole,
Yes.
would you rather go back to paper maps forever? No GPS.
Yep.
Or only watch TV when it airs live? No streaming. Like you get to watch the show when it's on.
I love this question.
Isn't that a good one?
Because honestly, I want to do both.
I love maps. I'm a
I
map
love
nerd.
maps. I love maps.
Okay, what is it? Is that okay? I
There's
wonder
something
if
like
that's a generational thing.
I don't know. My dad loved maps, and so I was around maps a lot as a child. He had globes and maps, and
Yeah.
we would look at where everything was on the world, and it just seemed this like
Yes.
this. And that maps are like the key. It's like the unlocking of the key of the puzzle to if you can get somewhere with this piece of paper. Which also reminded me of like as an actor, and I'm forgetting the name of it. Shoot. There in Los Angeles, they had this huge book. I mean, it was like
Oh, of maps?
it was a huge book for
Yes.
LA actors to be able to run around and get everywhere because LA is such a beast. And I remember it, and every friend of mine had this huge book that to navigate Los Angeles. And I was
It
like,
was a Rand
thank
McNally?
God. I was like, thank God I'm a New York actor because I just had to jump on the subway. What the? Sorry, Brianna. I'm gonna look it up.
It was a Rand
let's see.
McNally because I had one for Houston.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and so you had to okay, you're in the northwest part, and so you would have to like look at the big map, and then it would say if you want to know this part, you're gonna have to go to page 62 to get to.
It was
this
called the
part.
Thomas Guide. Did you have a Thomas Guide?
Okay, no.
It was called, it was the
Okay.
definitive Los Angeles City map book from the 1990s. It was a spiral 500-page paper atlas with essential navigation to deal with Los Angeles. And every actor friend of mine, I would go visit them and they'd be like, what? Like, and how am I
Right.
going to get to that particular? So you had one for Houston, you said?
We had one for Houston, and I would keep it in my back seat. So then I would have to pull it out, and I'd go, okay, if I'm going to go from this hospital to this hospital, how do I get there? And
Yeah.
I mean, and I loved it. It
Your
made
brain,
my
like,
brain
it's so
happy.
good. Yes.
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 Wonder if we should go back to maps. And you just had a perspective. And I still will do that now. Like, okay, I'm driving south. Like I know directions. I don't think our kids,
Yeah.
I don't know that they know north, south, east, and west. I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's people our age who probably don't either. But I
Right.
just think that you don't have that perspective because like you literally have to see yourself on a map driving this way and go, okay, well, if I'm going to go east, that means I'm going to take a right. And so, I mean, you just have to
Absolutely.
figure those things out in your
Absolutely.
head.
And then you really have a sense of place, right? You know where
Right.
you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, there are times when we first had our house in Utah where I would use the navigation because I was like, I have no idea where I am or what I'm doing. And now I will purposely not and be like, trust yourself. You know how to get there.
I know.
And it's helpful. And if I got lost, who cares? Remember when we got lost? You'd get lost. You just get lost.
Yeah.
And then you figure out, and then
you'd go to the next
actually
exit
talk
and you'd have to go back the other
person.
way. You might stop and ask somebody.
Right? So your question to me is go to maps or watch live
Go back
TV.
to paper maps forever or watch TV only when it airs live. I mean, only when
listen,
it airs. I guess it doesn't have to be live, but.
I love that idea too. Because you're not as you're a little bit more captive. You have to make a concerted effort. I want to watch this TV show at this time.
At 7:00, yeah.
I'm going to go with the maps. We've been so excited about the
I think
maps.
that's
I'm
mine.
going to go with the
I know.
maps. I'm going to go with the maps. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We should teach the kids about maps.
We should.
Teach
Let's
the
make
kids about the
maps cool again.
Let's make them cool again. Maps, records, of course, vinyl.
Yes.
Oh, you know what we could also make cool again? Remember those
Latch hooks?
No. The fortune teller
sorry.
things you would make
one,
they were
2,
almost
3,
like
4,
arm and
5.
arm.
Yeah, love those. My kids did those.
Do you know what? Oh, okay. That makes me feel better.
And then
maybe I'll find
up
something and I'll put it in the show notes if you don't know what we're talking about. It's good stuff. Tells your future. Makes you giggle.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather have lived through your own life and struggles, or would you prefer to have grown up in today's world as a 20-year-old dealing with the challenges of modern life?
Oh, heck no. No. I want to go back.
I realized after this conversation that this is a no-brainer for you.
The greatest generation.
That's right. The greatest generation, even though there is
The greatest.
a generation called the greatest generation.
The greatest generation.
And they're all
they
dead.
were great. Well, I think most of them
I think they're dead.
But
I think they're pretty dead,
are
dead. I'm pretty sure.
they were
Josh and I
World
will
War II
look at
vets.
old movies and then go, and we'll just be watching the old movie and then go, dead.
Yeah.
No, it's stupid, but yeah, I think they're pretty much dead.
Yeah.
I think so.
They
Getting
were
close.
the greatest
Getting
generation.
close.
But I do feel like we
Why
lived
did they
up in
think
the-
they were?
we-
Why did they think that? What's so great about their
I think that was a
generation?
whole.
You mean all the
I think that was
wars?
the whole World War II. Yeah.
All those wars. Ay, that's
They lived
another
through a lot.
conversation. Listen,
This was
listener
fun.
and viewer, thank you for doing this with us. And if you're a Gen Xer, please write in the YouTube comments or DM us on Instagram. Do us a favor and write a memory that you have about being a Gen Xer. And if you're not a Gen Xer, let us know what's appealing about Gen X that you might like to adopt in your life now. And listen, we're not haters. You can be a Gen Z or a millennial. Tell us what you like about your generation, because we all have struggles and we all have happies and I thought, Jolene, it was fun to explore this topic with you today.
This was good. This was good. And something we can all agree on. Or not.
Or disagree, because that's what we do at We've Got to Talk.
Please like, subscribe, and follow us. Please leave us comments. That helps our algorithms. We love having you. We love doing this with you. So
Yes, we do.
Please share this with a friend if you think somebody else would enjoy this as well. It will help us.
Yes.
And we
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much. Thank you, Jolene. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.